Hello everyone and welcome again to the video series on the special education reform in New York City Department of Education. And as I have mentioned previously, this doesn't only apply to the New York City Department of Education. This applies to everywhere in the United States where this education reform has taken place, and it has in effect hindered the rights of our students with disabilities. So what we're going to discuss today is the actual lines that the Department of Education will feed parents, the scripts that they tell them. Last week we talked about the scripts and the ones that you can see right on the Department of Education website. This time we're going to talk about the individual lines that parents get basically told in schools or at offices of student enrollment or by the Department of Education or by personnel that are told to tell them, right? Because people who work for the Department of Education, they basically just want to keep their jobs, right? They just want to make sure that they don't get reprimanded for not telling parents what they're supposed to tell them. I've had, as I mentioned before, I was reprimanded myself, and I know of many of my colleagues that were reprimanded for actually telling parents the truth. So in this particular video, what we're going to talk about is some of the lines that I've heard that have been told to individual parents based on individual IEPs, Individualized Education Plans. And we're interested in this because what we want to make sure that we understand that our children are being serviced according to what the IEP recommends. If there is anything less than what the IEP recommends, then your child is being either underserved or unserved. So for example, if your child is recommended for a class, for a 12 to 1-to-1 class for all subjects, right? For all subjects, especially if they're in elementary school. 12 to 1-to-1 means self-contained, 12 students, 1 teacher, 1 paraprofessional, 1 assistant in each class, in each period. But say, for example, the school can only provide that type of service only for math. So your child is being underserved. If your child is supposed to get speech therapist 3 times a week, and he or she only gets them for 2 times a week, your child's being underserved. If your child doesn't get speech at all, and there's speech on the IEP, your child's being unserved. If your child doesn't get a self-contained 12 to 1-to-1 class at all, your child is being unserved. So are children being unserved or underserved in the New York City Department of Education? Absolutely, left and right, all over the place. Children are being unserved and underserved. And many times parents are not even aware of it. And how do they cover this up? They cover it up by telling parents that they're actually providing the services, but they're providing these services through something that's called flexible programming. So what does flexible programming means? Well, basically what it means is, let me just give you an example. Say, for example, your child is recommended for a self-contained class in a regular elementary school in a 12 to 1-to-1 class, a class with 12 children, 1 teacher, and 1 para. The Department of Education will come in, look at your child's IEP, and tell you, for example, well, this IEP doesn't say that your child has to be in a 12 to 1-to-1 class really objectively 100% of the time with the same 12 children, with the same teacher, with the same para. It only says 12 to 1 to 1 for all subjects, let's just say. So what we're going to do is we're going to flexibly program your child's education. So we're going to make sure that anytime he's being taught a subject, there are only 12 children in a particular class that have an IEP. There is an assistant and there is a teacher. So in other words, they spin it for you. They're spin masters, and they're going to try to show you how the IEP doesn't really say what you know it says. So if your child, if they can show you in some way, shape, or form that your child is being serviced somehow with only 12 other children with IEPs in any class, with a teacher, with a para, they won't tell you there's 15 more children in that class. And then the para has to go around to all the other children, and that there's 2 teachers in the class, for example. They won't tell you that. They will spin it to show you that in any particular moment, there was a teacher that was supposed to be with your child, that it was only tending to 12 other students. Not really true. And there was a para in that class. They will show you that. They will spin it for you so that you think that your child is being serviced as per the IEP recommendation. But the truth is, it's not happening. It really isn't. Your child is in a completely different class. Sometimes your child is being even in a regular class with 30 other children. But if they can prove that there was a teacher, say there was a cooperating teacher that was there because there were 12 other children, or maybe even 13, if there's a variance in the class, and there's a parent in the class, if they can prove to you that they did that, then they feel that they fulfilled the recommendations on the IEP. And I can guarantee you, 90% of the time, no parents are going to ask for proof that that's actually happening. Not that they have to ask for any proof, it's just not happening. If your child is not being educated in a self-contained class, just to give you an example, all the time with 12 children, with a teacher and a para, with only 12 children. So 11 more, maybe 12 more if it's a variance, but that's it. Anything more than that is not really being compliant with the IEP. And like this, I can tell you so many stories. So if they're offering to you flexible programming, that should raise a red flag for you. What I'm telling you here is that you need to be smart about your child's IEP recommendations, what your child is entitled to as per the IEP. And why is this? Because the IEP is a legal document. And because it's a legal document, you want to make sure that everything that's on the IEP is being provided to your child. So anytime that they say to you, don't worry, we're going to use flexible programming. Your child's going to get what's on the IEP. We're going to offer tutoring for you. We're going to offer this or that. You can very much say that you want to remind them that you as a parent have due process rights, and that you want to know exactly what your child is getting and how that is compliant with the IEP. Keep in mind that the example that I use with a 12 to 1 to 1 class, a self-contained class in a regular classroom, is just one example. I have many, many other examples that I can talk to you about. If you join my private Facebook group, if you're in my Facebook group, you're here, and I just want to encourage you to ask me questions if you have particular questions about your child. Just keep in mind that this could happen with any IEP recommendation. And in the next video installment, we will be talking about a little more about parental due process rights and what you can do if you feel your child's educational rights are not being met as per the IEP recommendations. I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.